Welcome to our weekly movie talk. Today, to an episode that especially my co-host Sean was looking forward to since the moment we basically started this. Since he's most likely one of the biggest Ghostbusters fan around. I mean, I like Ghostbusters. I love the movies. I love the cartoon and the video game from 2009. But he's like I think it's probably your number one franchise.
I always wanted to be a Ghostbuster since I first watched the cartoon and the movie. Yeah, haircut. But I just love the franchise, man. It's near and dear to my heart. You know, from the Ghostbusters theme song by Ray Parker Jr. to the movies, the actors. Everything about it. It just screams. The love of both comedy and horror. I love both genres. So
And especially the 80s, we know it was possible to make a funny movie, a funny franchise, a fantastic animated show, and make horror that is really scary
yeah,
and combine this. And this, I think, is the big strength and why this could have only been created in the 80s.
exactly. The Ghostbusters fit the aesthetic of the 80s, especially in 1983, 84 when it was created. And a lot of that stuff wouldn't fly today, especially considering the dialogue and
Yeah.
Bankman's characteristics about, womanizing and stuff.
Let's just say like it's basically it's the fine thin line between womanizing and and somebody has to call the cops.
I mean, when he says, I'm mad. What's up, Lasso? When he says, I'm madly in love with you, I'm like, we just met.
Let's just say he's giving like all the wrong vibes.
But
Yeah.
I love the characteristics of the Ghostbusters. Like right from the get go when we meet, Bankman and the iconic scene with the electric shock theory.
Which is so funny because this is basically this electric shock test. This is based on real experiments.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Bankman does it his own way,
Yeah.
and he says, he's only doing it for the nice treatment of the girl. She's nice, beautiful, and stuff. So he, being who he is, he gives her all the right responses when she's wrong. But yet the other poor guy got to get the shock all the damn time.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like this moment, even when he was right on pure accident, he still didn't give it to him and give him the shock.
I'm getting a little tired of this. We're paying you, right? I mean, the dialogue in itself was freaking amazing. Just from how Bill delivers his lines and really captures the essence of Peter Venkman. He's just con. Like Venkman is almost like a con man.
He is a con man. I mean, he admits
I wouldn't say 100% con. Like that would be his dad, but that's where he gets his trait from his father, from the cartoon I'm going based off. But yeah, he just has this con man like mentality, whereas he's smart, but he likes to get over on everybody and get his way. And it's like Bankman is just, he's supposed to be a complete jerk, but Bill plays him with such charm and convincing that you can't help but like him. This dude gonna shock him for getting the right answer, but because he's been shocking him most of the time, he's gonna shock him just because he's a dick. And I'm like, how could I like this dude? But Bill is so charming about it that you got no choice but to like him.
Hey, Cookie.
What's up, Cookie, Jace?
Yes, and especially man, the casting is they were so lucky that some people declined the roles because the group they put together with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, the late Harold Ramis, and of course Ernie Hudson. It's lightning in a bottle. These people share a chemistry that can't be recreated. This is really just the right people were at the right time at the right place.
Exactly, and considering the fact that a lot of them had Saturday Night Live experience, SCTV experience, they all been together on Ninja. They all been together, doing all these other comedy spots that by the time Ghostbusters came around, they all knew each other. So they just gelled immediately.
Yeah, and the thing is also, the writers were also Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and I think this was a perfect combination. As we all know, Dan Aykroyd is crazy, like really fucking crazy. I love this guy. He's crazy, and Harold Ramis like keeping this craziness in check and adding also like a more toned down, but still very funny level to it. It's just a fantastic combination of those two.
Harold Ramis was the perfect character to play Egon Spengler because of his deadpan seriousness. Every line he spits, every line he comes out with, it's a deadpan reaction, and he nailed it.
And one of my favorite connections between the first movie and the cartoon is, of course, in the cartoon when the movie says, I collect spores, molds, and fungus. And in one of the episodes in the cartoons, like Janine was talking with a guy, and it's like, I think he was saying, like, you like a fungus, and then Egan is coming down the stairs, he's like, did somebody say fungus?
That's old Egon. Look, I remember one of the later seasons when, they had a little earthquake, and the first thing Egon was worried about was his moles and fungus.
Yeah. So this is the kind of continuity that I absolutely love. Like, this respects all the little details. It's just wonderful. And also when Harold Ramis wrote Egon, and then he realized, I'm the only man who can play.
Yeah, he said that because I watched the audio commentary for the first movie again, and Harold Ramis was a part of it, and he said that nobody could play the part. When he realized, like, man, this is me, I should play it. Because he was perfect for it. He was perfect for the role, and he nailed it. And I was going to mention about Dan Aykroyd. You talk about Dan Aykroyd being crazy. That's why he was perfect to be Ray Stantz, because he was crazy in the sense that every time they go up in the situation, he's excited. He's enthusiastic. Yeah. He can't wait to get involved with this. He's just thinking about the future possibilities of capturing ghosts, and it gets him excited.
And especially, all the sex scene with the ghost, which was cut from a way longer storyline in a movie. It's based on a real experience by him. He had sex with a ghost. At least he claims it. He told that story on the Joe Rogan podcast. Which watch the Joe Rogan podcast with Dan Aykroyd. It's 2 hours you don't want to miss in your life.
I've watched pretty much a lot of podcasts with him part of it, and I know he talked about that story multiple times.
Just be sure to bring your tinfoil hat. It's just, although this is fantastic because the first movie, it was not targeted as for children, which means it's perfect for children.
Yes. I never really looked at it as a children's movie. That's why I hated the Junior Ghostbusters in the cartoon. I don't want kid Ghostbusters. I want the adult Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is also, that's why I still like the second movie. The second movie is still better than most of the trash to put out nowadays. But they tuned it a lot down because they wanted to go for the young audience, which also Bill Murray didn't like. Bill Murray was for a long time basically the last frontier to make a third movie, and he was sadly not willing to do it.
Yeah, Bill Murray have a love-hate relationship with. He has a love-hate relationship with the franchise.
Lots will love the effects.
Yeah, the special effects still hold up, especially in a lot of scenes where they use practical. And they talked about it a lot on the audio commentary about practical and what was it? Optical effects. Like the Terror Dog scene. When the Terror Dogs were moving, those were optical, but when they stand still position, those were practical. And well, you could tell the Terror Dogs were like when he burst. Rick Moranis, a role that was originally supposed to be for John Candy, but they talked about in the audio commentary that John Candy couldn't really get the gist of the character, and when they tried to explain it to him, he just turned the role down, and then they went with Rick Moranis. And Rick Moranis, he really ad-libbed a lot of his lines because he added the character traits of the taxes and the party thing where he was talking about all the food and stuff like that. He ad-libbed a lot. But the one thing that he went through that whole movie was that locked door. Every time he comes out of his apartment, his door locked. His door locked. His door locked. Man, I loved it that they had to tell dog bust that shit down just to say that door ain't gonna lock on me.
I mean, he also was an uncredited writer on the movie.
For his lines, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff was ad-libbed. I feel Bill Murray ad-libbed the most stuff. Yeah.
All them guys came from that background, that SCEC comedy background. So they knew how to ad-lib and improv their whole dialogue. Like, they read the script, and then they'll just add their little touches to it.
And still, Ernie Hudson has the 2 best lines in the movie.
Not join these men, sit down, turn you white.
And of course, Ray, when someone asks you if you're
your God, you say yes.
2 best lines in the movie, in my opinion.
And he has some more great lines. Like,
yeah.
The sad part about Ernie Hudson is he had a bigger role because he was supposed to be introduced before the montage.
Yeah, there was still the right when they thought they could get Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, they was hoping to get Eddie Murphy, but that didn't work out. But when they gave Ernie the script and he started doing his stuff, they realized that damn, Ernie got just as many great lines as Venkman does. And they didn't want to have that little conflict with it, so they reduced his role in the movie. And that was kind of disappointing because Ernie was like the heart and soul of the team. Bill was the con man. Yeah. Egon was the brains. Ray was the enthusiastic character. But Winston was the heart and soul. He's the one that could connect the audience to the others because we're like just regular Joes trying to figure out these 3 scientists, what they're doing. But yet Winston is like us. You don't know what's going on when it comes to the scientific stuff. What's up, Joe? But he knows one thing. He knows one thing. If I can get paid, I'll do anything you say. I believe in anything you say. And that's it.
Hey, Jeff. Greetings. Yeah, exactly. And Ernie, Winston Sedmore is the most relatable character in the movie.
Yeah.
And this is also why he should have been there basically from the beginning.
And they took out his Marine because he had Marine background. So he had military background. So they took that story element out. And we never knew that until we read the behind the scenes of his character.
Yeah, we talked a lot about this a little bit before we went live. As I'm one of the people who have seen the movie after they watched the cartoon. Because here I grew up here watching the cartoon, of course, German dubbed, and only later saw Ghostbusters on free TV, the movie. So in the beginning, I was like, where the fuck is Winston?
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you start with the cartoon and then you start with the second movie, you're going to think Winston was in all of the first movie.
Yeah. And, also when I looked for the thumbnail for original movie poster for the first one, I realized for the first time there is no fucking poster with Ernie Hudson in it. And he's a Ghostbusters. And there's 4 and there's only 3 on them.
Yeah, they always... when it came to Ernie, because even the second one didn't have him on there, the initial posters, and I'm like, what the fuck, Ernie? It's the second movie. I don't know. But yeah, Ernie was the purist. Yeah. Everybody else has a specialty to them, but Ernie was just a regular guy joining a group of guys that already had experience with this. So, like he said, from the perspective of us, and he was like that in the cartoon. Every time every time Egon says something scientific, Winston translated to something that we can understand.
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing about the cartoon, because they kept the characters intact, and of course the cartooners also fantastic writers like J. Michael Straczynski, and the way they translated the characters from the movie to the cartoon was flawless. Of course, they changed the optics, and I really loved how in the episode The Citizen Ghost, they told you why they changed the uniforms.
Yeah, it was a nice explanation to why they got those color uniforms. I thought that episode was one of the best episodes.
The continuity is fantastic.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the best episodes that actually, transitioned from the film to the cartoon. And then when they go to Hollywood, they actually try to say, we're going to make a Ghostbusters movie. And you like, Murray, Ramis, Ackroyd? Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, the humor was fantastic.
Play the cookie.
My cookie. And I mean, the crazy thing is that, as you said before, they did Ernie Hudson bad in the movie. They didn't even give him the role for Winston in the cartoon, despite him applying for it. I mean, Arsenio Hall, a fantastic actor, fantastic voice actor, fantastic character actor, but not giving Ernie Hudson the voice acting role of the character he portrayed in the live action movie it's unheard of.
It's blasphemy. Hey, like Ernie, even Arsenio Hall is like, damn it, I'm not getting this if Ernie Hudson is doing this.
Yeah. I also have heard that story that he was like sitting there waiting for his casting call, and then Ernie Hudson walks in and he's like, what?
Yeah, I remember that story because Maurice LaMarche, the voice of Egon, talked about it on the Real Ghostbusters extras. Him and Arsenio was there for the interview and the audition, and they saw Ernie Hudson go by, and I'm like, well, shit, he said, as Arsenio, I ain't gonna be able to get that if he's voicing it. That's Ernie. Yeah. That's Winston Zedmore himself. But props to Arsenio. He did a great job as Winston Zedmore. Yeah. And I also give props to Buster Jones, who replaced Arsenio when he left. He's not as good as Arsenio in terms of what Arsenio brought, but Buster Jones was a great voice actor himself. So rest in peace to Buster Jones. He passed away a couple years back.
Yeah, sadly, a lot of people, not a lot of people, some people from the Ghostbusters franchise no longer with us. Of course, I remember when Harold Ramis died, and when I got the news, not only it was sad because a person died, but also you knew that this is the moment there can't be a third movie. Not a third live action movie, because like we said before, this casting was lightning in a bottle, and if we'll only take one piece of the puzzle away from it, the magic is lost.
Well, I'll say one of the bigger pieces of this was the director himself, Ivan Reitman. He's another one that had chemistry and who worked with these guys before. Him and Harold written Animal House. Another great movie. And then they also worked together with Bill on Stripes and Meatballs. So like I said, everything came together perfectly with this movie,
as it was supposed to be. And the moment that Ramis was gone, you knew doesn't matter what they do, it won't be the same again. I'm so happy that we got the video game in 2009.
Yes.
because it's a true third movie.
It is. I've always said that movie is the third. That video game was the third movie. Despite whatever other people say, like, well, Afterlife is going to be the upcoming Ghostbuster movie. That's the third movie. But that when it comes to the original cast, the video game was the last one with the original cast. All four Ghostbusters. Yeah. So that's still the third
quick farewell, and the game has been remastered in 2019. I still have the 2009 version. Actually, I wanted to play it this week, but I didn't have time, so I'm gonna play it on the weekend. And still looking forward to play it again. I remembered it when I played it 2009, which still sounds very recent to me. However, it isn't. And it really felt like being back in the franchise.
Yeah, the only thing the 2009 game did was you played from the perspective of the rookie. You didn't play as the Ghostbusters unless you played the multiplayer, but you played as the rookie throughout the whole campaign. And that's another thing. The comic books by Eric Burnham, Dan Schoenen, and Louis Delgado took a lot of everything from the movies, the cartoons, the video games, and applied it to the comic books. And that's why that run that they did in the comics still holds up. It still reads well because they were diehard Ghostbuster fans, and it shows when you read it.
Eric Burnham, fantastic writer. I love his work on Red Sonja. I haven't read a Ghostbuster comic, like never ever.
This is the first hardcover that started the run.
Available or?
And I don't know if it's still available, but it definitely reads great. He knows the characters. There was a lot of Ghostbuster comics I read before he started writing it that some of the writers didn't know the characters. And that's always disappointing when you read the book and I'm like, man, that's not Egon, or that's not Peter. Like they have a little bit of it, but they don't get the full gist of the character. When I read this book, I always have the voices play in my head because they fit the characters.
Eric Burnham is a fantastic writer. And to Biggie's comment, you gotta watch there's a 5-hour movie cut of the video game on YouTube, but I'm there with JC. You gotta play the game. And I think the remaster should be available on all the new consoles.
Yeah, it's on PS4, PS. You could be able to play it through PS5, Xbox 360, and Xbox One.
Yeah, we have the console mastermind. He knows it. And also, hello to Gary B, the casual comic guy. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, the video game definitely needs to be played.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic immersive experience and highly recommended. Way better than all the Ghostbusters video games on the on the NES and on Atari. Yeah.
Another thing about the original movie, and they brought this up on the commentary, is the importance of Sigourney Weaver.
Yes, Dana
Barrett. They said she was really enthusiastic and excited to do this movie. And she really showed in this movie of how she can play even a powerful character like Ellen Ripley in Aliens, and then play a damsel in distress, but yet still be respectful and still be a great character. And I love her back and forth with Venkman, especially when she starts to warm up to Venkman. When they met at the little circle with the fountain, I loved that scene because they really started to gel together well. And the other guy was like, well, who's the stiff? You could tell that he kind of like, man, she hanging out with a Ghostbuster, man. Ain't they frauds? But she makes the movie work because of her enthusiastic appearance in there in terms of her wanting to do the role. And I will say that scene with the misdirect when she looked at that door and the terror dogs were behind that door, and then the arms popped out. That shit scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Yeah, so many scary scenes, and this is also so wonderful when you. I'm so happy that I watched it first when I was a kid, because I don't. I always hate when studios are toning things down for kids. Okay, I get that you don't do like total brutal gore or mutilations like for kids, but a horror movie, even if it's comedy, should be scary. And when you take the scary part out of a horror movie, then it's not a horror movie anymore. And being scared and dealing with fear and dealing with fictional fear is the best kind of fear we can deal with. Is so important when you grow up. For me, like experience like this shiver of the great ghost effects, and it felt so genuine because the great practical effects, like Biggie said before, the librarian ghost, this was scary. And also the thing you mentioned with Dana with the hand coming out, and this was scary, but then the movie took always a comic turn, so the scariness turned again into laughter, and this mixture is for all ages. And nowadays studios shouldn't be afraid to make scary movies for children.
I agree. I 100% agree. And Ghostbusters holds up in terms of the balance between the horror and the comedy. You get your horror moment, then you get hit with a comedy line from Bill or them, and it just resets. It continues to build that tension, hits you with a horror scene, then back to comedy, and it balances very well.
Totally. I think the second movie even has scarier parts in it, despite they were targeting more to children and wanted to toning it down. Because I think that Peter McNichol's portrayal as Janosch was scary as hell. When he had like the ray eyes, this like as a kid I was like, wow.
Yeah, he was a cartoonist character.
Yeah.
And Vigo could have been even more because I liked the effects they used with Vigo. His head coming out of the painting. We definitely gonna talk about that. His head coming out of the painting and the eyes. When he zapped at Janos and stuff. Like Vigo could have been a much more even scarier character if they really did. Because I liked the head over the river of slime, especially when Raven was looking at the photographs. Like there was some tense moments in Ghostbusters 2. But not as great compared to the first Ghostbusters.
Yeah, he was portrayed by a German wrestler, by Norbert Gruppe, who was more famous in the US as Wilhelm von Homburg. He sadly passed away in 2004. And he was not happy when he was at the premiere, and then he realized that Max von Sydow dubbed over him, that he didn't use his voice. But it's very interesting because even in the US, like to pick somebody like that, because he was not a famous wrestler in the US, a boxer. But I think he really had like the aura of being the Scorcher of Carpathia.
I always liked the nicknames they had for him. Vigo the Carpathian. They call him Vigo the Butch. Bateman said that. The Hammer. Another thing about the differences between the first two movies is Biggie mentioned that the score. The first movie score by Elmer Bernstein was fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, so there's one song in there that always reminds me of the score from the Ninth Gate. But I absolutely love it has a fantastic soundtrack. And then you add the iconic song by Ray Parker Jr. in it. And this also, this is Also, lightning in a bottle. This song is pure gold, and every Ghostbusters movie that is not using, or every Ghostbuster franchise that has like audio that is not using this song does something wrong, because this is timeless. This resonates with everybody. It doesn't matter which genre of music somebody loves. Everybody loves the Ghostbusters theme.
Classic. It's like the moment you hear it, man, you just start going in the if there's something strange in the neighborhood. I mean, it's just the music of the first soundtrack.
He-Man.
The music in the first soundtrack was just perfect. From the actual Ghostbusters theme song to the theme of the Ghostbusters. You know, when they walk around, you hear that. It's just it's ingrained in your head that song is going to be sticking with you forever.
And I absolutely laughed that in the cartoon, like in the outro, they totally mimic the music video, the dance.
Yeah, at the outro.
Yeah, we already talked about Transformers cartoon. Like I said, I'm huge Transformers fan. On the other side of my laptop, several Transformers figures, because I still need a place to put them and portray them. But yeah, say hello to Impactor. And there's also an Ecto 1 Transformers you can buy.
Oh yeah, I have that sitting over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made sure I scooped that up when they first announced that. But
I still have to read that slower.
Another thing about the first movie is, the pacing of it. I felt like it was well paced.
Yes.
Everything kept building and building till you get to that first case, the first mission where they gotta go after Slimer in the Sedgwick Hotel. And that always been a fun scene to watch, because that was the first time we see Slimer, who was like called Onion Head in the original script. And Peter gets slime is still one of the most iconic scenes in movie history. He's an ugly little spud, is he? I think he can.
What I love so much about the hotel is also when they went down and then they give them the bill. I think like $4,000. Like, I'm not gonna pay it. Okay, we can go in and release it again.
He's like, we all charged the big one, $4,000, but we are having a special this week on proton charging and storage of the beast, and that's going to cost $1,000. And you see Egon just raise his finger. I never paid attention when I was younger to Egon. How he was, almost edging Peter on to charge him one extra $1,000. It was hilarious, man. But before that whole thing, the iconic "we came, we saw, we kicked its ass." That's probably one of the most greatest lines in the movie. And this movie is it's a full of lines.
I love this town. Yeah. And also the one thing like is also very apparent when they come into the hotel, which is also one of these things that is completely different when you watch it as a child than when you watch it as an adult. Because when you watch it as a child, at least this was the case for me, you think, okay, they're the Ghostbusters, they know what they're doing, they're the heroes. People should trust them, like they're trustworthy, they're the Ghostbusters. And when you watch it as an adult and realize they have not the slightest idea what they're doing. When they're putting on the proton bags and they have fucking nuclear accelerators on their back. It's Walter Peck is basically the only sane person in the movie.
And that's saying something coming from a guy who's Nicholas.
Because if this would be real life, I would be very happy as a citizen that the government is trying to shutting people down that wear nuclear reactors on their back.
All it takes is one mistake or crossing the streams one accidental time, and that whole place goes kablooey.
I mean, crossing the streams is also so iconic. I remember back in the days, when in my early 20s, when I was still drinking alcohol. And I think every drunk guy, when we're out there and everybody was pissing and everybody was like, don't cross the stream.
And that and Harold Ramis brought that up on the commentary. He like, when you think crossing the streams, he said, well, people had different interpretations of crossing the streams than people.
And this is across the world. Like I said, like drunken teenagers in Austria also like beware of crossing the streams when peeing in the wild.
That's why it always looks funny when they actually do it at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's Biggie is totally right. This is it's a perfect hero's journey. We don't want characters that are perfect to be from the beginning, and everything is just like a chore. Like, and to be the villain, to overcome an obstacle shouldn't be not like an easy chore. It should be something where the characters are brought to the limits, where they're on the ground, but they refuse to give up and fight back. This is relatable. This is what people want to see. We want to see characters struggle and overcoming the struggle. And the Ghostbusters totally did that. And this is also something what I think a lot of people don't like about the second movie is at the beginning they're basically starting again from the beginning, and everything they achieved in the first movie was taken away from them.
Well, shit, all the damage they had on the building, everything that happened, people still didn't want to believe in ghosts. And the fact that all that stuff that happened, and then they all sued the Ghostbusters because who's gonna fix this, man? They're like, come on now, why y'all got? Why you throw it? Come on, wrong stream, Lasso. Go back and watch Swamp Thing, man.
Yeah.
But why are they gonna do that after they damn near suffer the apocalyptic ending to the world with Goza, and then they say, well, you guys may have saved the city, but we gotta sue you because you caused all this damages.
Yeah. It's not like the Goza was very subtle, and even though smartphones were not around back in the days, I think that maybe CNN or somebody would have caught like a glimpse of the shit that was coming down. Hey,
yeah. What's up, Steve? Yeah, they would have had all that stuff. Stay Puft coming down the street.
Yeah, it's like there's a fucking giant marshmallow man walking in the street.
And that was a scene that they said, Harold and Ivan were saying that, man, we don't know if this is gonna work. It might be a bit too hokey, to have a giant Stay Puft man coming down the street, So they were kind of afraid of the test audience's reaction to that. When they saw it and they said, man, the reaction was amazing. The people loved the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
And that was that character became iconic. Not only just for the Ghostbusters and Slimer and all that stuff. People remember the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah. And that's what makes this movie so great.
Yeah, I remember when a kid when I got the Stay Puft, the only thing was he was too small. But it was a fantastic cast and absolutely loved it. Oh, nice. That's a new one there.
I've had this for a couple of years, man, but this is like a bank. Put change in there. But it's so awesome, man.
It looks so tasty.
We used to make fires at the camp.
Yeah, we also did that here, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they did, Biggie. Universal had a great Ghostbusters show in the late 80s, early 90s, man. Rail Bank. But yeah, like I said,
is the sketch cover that Steve got you for Ghostbusters.
Oh, you mean the 84? Comic Hat 84 sketch cover? Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome, man. And that, like I said, that's what makes this movie so iconic, because all the characters and the ghosts, Ghost's line, "Are you a god?" And Ray stupidly says, "Yes, then die." I mean, it's just that stuff like that sticks with you, man. Like, you always remember the lines.
Which is completely funny because there's one episode in the cartoon where Wankman goes on and tries like, this is like I'm Dr. Wankman, this is Dr. Spangler, Dr. Stans, Dr. Sedmore, and Wilson was like, I'm not a doctor, like don't like
Don't interrupt the flow.
Don't interrupt the flow, which basically is, when somebody asks if you're a doctor. Yeah.
Listen, ain't no doctor. He's just a regular Joe caught up with 3 insane guys, man.
Yeah.
And that's another scene in the first movie, the jail scene, where they were in jail. I loved that scene because you see Peter, Ray, and Egon all talking about, the building.
The Spider-Gwen one, yeah.
Yeah, the Spider-Gwen. But you see them all talk about the building, and your girlfriend lived in the penthouse of Spook Central. And, Bankman, like, she's not my girlfriend. She sleeps 4 feet above her covers. And, he barks, drools, and stuff. And Bankman's going on the spell, and then Egon gets serious. Like, that was probably the most serious scene where Egon got. Like, it's not the girl, Peter, it's the building. And then you see all the prisoners come around. They all invested in the story that Egon is saying. And then Bill brings it back to comedy. I'm like, it's hilarious. And then Winston, he gets serious. It's like, we have to go to the federal judge, and talk to all these people. And then when they said, shit, I forgot what they said. But I know Winston said, I'm going to have to get my own lawyer. That's exactly what I would say. Because I ain't rolling with you guys, man.
Yeah, Trading Places is also a fantastic movie. Hey, it's animation.
Hey, Sandy.
Yes, it's also already talked about the cartoon is, with the cartoon the same as the movie. It was so scary. Like, I remember there was somebody on Twitter who asked, like, oh, what is basically the scariest creature? It's like, it's the boogeyman from the Boogeyman Cometh. I was so scared of this episode as a child. I had nightmares for weeks. Absolutely love it.
Man, the Boogeyman was an awesome character. I never was afraid of him, though. I always, his design was freakish, but at the same time, I thought he was a pretty cool character. I understood why people feared him. Because, that's what the Boogeyman does. He put fears in little kids. But I always thought that
this small door, and then he puts his big head through, and I absolutely loved that. That's also what's so good about this episode, because he visited Egan when he was a kid, and Egan was still afraid. And for Egan to overcome his fear in this episode, this was also a big struggle. And I think this is also that, even though I was scared when I watched it as a kid, I think that also like Egan overcoming this, that's
what makes the episode so great. Is Egon has a flaw, and that he's scared of the Boogeyman. Something that he never got over, and it's what got him involved in investigating afterlife and parapsychology, because the Boogeyman used to come out of his closet. So the cartoon really did a great job at expanding these characters.
Yeah, you posted on Instagram before, like, a clip from also one of the classic episodes from Knock Knock.
Yes.
Do not open until doomsday.
Yes. I love that episode, man.
So good. Like that door, that was really also, when you watch this, when you watch the cartoon, it also gave you like the feeling, oh, there's so much out there, like so much lore in the world.
And that's what J. Michael Straczynski really wanted to imply with the series. He wanted to go through the stories, the H.P. Lovecraft, and all the scary stories, from the past, and apply it to Ghostbusters.
Episode. It's having a kids cartoon show where they mention like H.P. Lovecraft by name and the Necronomicon, and the Ghostbusters have to fight all the Cthulhu within the series. I mean, this is fantastic. This is everything a kid that likes ghosts, adventure, like scary things, can dream of.
And when you really watch those first seasons of Ghostbusters, they really were scary.
Yes.
Like they had some like when Egon got blasted to become a ghost. That shit is, when you see that happen, they're like, oh shit, Egon's dead. And you start worrying and stuff. Like, how are they gonna get through this? And a lot of shit happened to Egon. Like Egon on the rampage. Egon becomes a giant demon ghost.
So many. Like also when Halloween was forever. Fantastic.
Oh, Sam Hain.
Yeah, as somebody who got killed by a giant pumpkin, I can totally relate.
Yeah, man, the cartoon really did a lot to expand the mythology of Ghostbusters. And like I said, the cartoon is the reason why Ghostbusters 2 existed.
Yes, and I mean, Ghostbusters 2 basically is just a movie within the canon of the cartoon series.
Yeah, because Slimer was a villain in the first one, well, not so much a villain, but their first boss. And then the second one, he's right there with them, helping Louis till he gets to the damn museum.
And also, when you look at how Janine evolved, like in the second movie, she totally looked more like in a cartoon. And they also changed the color of the slime to make it more vibrant.
Did you like Janine in the second movie compared to the first?
She felt totally different because actually I really liked it in the first movie, like the crush she had on Egon, and I think that she was a little bit too loose in the second one, which doesn't really fit her character that was established in the first one.
That's how I always felt, man. I did not like Janine in the second movie compared to the first. I liked the whole relationship with her and Egon, and then the cartoon did even more with that. And Harold Ramis wasn't really a fan of it, so that's why he jettisoned it in the second movie. But I just felt her character in the second movie did not line up with how she acted in the first movie. Because in the first movie, she was almost like professional, like with an attitude. She had that, attitude of, Ghostbusters, what do you want? And whenever you upset her, she has a little attitude. She can have that back and forth with Bankman. Yeah, she can have that back and forth with Bankman while still have that whole, to get with Egon. And then the second movie, they completely threw that out.
Yeah, they really dumped her down.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
And then the cartoon, I loved the Janine in the first couple of seasons. Then they changed the voice actress, and no disrespect to Katie Source, who did the voice of the second Janine, but she just couldn't measure up to Laura Summer. I felt Laura Summer was just perfect at Janine. She had the similar voice to Annie Potts and just had that edge that she can, go battle with Bankman verbally while still trying to get with Egon, because she had such a crush on Egon. So when they changed the character voices, at least on the American side, it really just took the character off. She lost the sassiness and became more like mothery figure. And that just, you lost the character that we all love from the first movie in the early seasons of real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's the quality really went down after they toned the cartoon down. But nothing can take away at least the first two seasons. Those were brilliant. And some of my favorite episodes is always when they had to visit the containment unit.
Oh yeah.
You always had some really nice flashbacks there. I absolutely loved that one where they're playing like card in there with Sam Hain and also the Bob James. It's so interesting because it's really like its own universe in there. It's a pocket universe, and like how the ghosts make their own, like basically their own nation. It's always a little bit like Escape from New York, like the vibe when they have to go into the containment unit.
It's always it defies how technology works. Like, wait a minute, you gonna suck yourself into the containment unit to get something? Like, that shouldn't even exist. That shouldn't even happen. But when it comes to science and stuff, they just come up with all sorts of ideas.
Yeah, and this is the wonderful thing. It's like you can always come up with some metaphysical bogus, like in a world like this, and this is a wonderful thing.
Another thing about the cartoon was, And I hated how they did his character later on when they changed the voice act. Lorenzo Music will always be my Peter Venkman when it comes to voice acting. You know, and I really felt that he captured Bill Murray's style of womanizing and laziness, con man like. But there was 2 episodes, one with the Christmas episode, you know, where Venkman was kind of grouchy and stuff, and they brought up like he ain't never had a strong relationship with his mother. Mm-hmm. And then the other episode, which that ending always bring a tear to my eye, was the thing in Mrs. Faversham's attic. That episode where Venkman kind of connected with Mrs. Faversham because of how, you know, her relationship with her father and stuff, and she was just a sweet old lady, and he really wanted to help her, that he charged for free. And they like, what? Venkman charges for free? But, you know, that little character moment with Venkman, and then at the end with Mrs. Faversham, when he told the guys, like, me and my mom never had this connection, and, you know, it really added to his character that you really wanted to know more about, you know. Yeah. And I really wish they could have explored more, because Venkman always been a funny man, a con man, and stuff like that. But there's a lot more to his character than what we know.
And that's a very strong achievement of the cartoon, because, like I said, they brought so much depth to the characters, to the lore. Like you said, like the first movie was a movie. They never planned to do anything with it. They weren't not prepared, like that. It's so popular for all ages. That's also why it took like a while until they made a cartoon and a second movie. Yeah. Because usually you would think like with a hit as the Ghostbusters, which was, I think it was until Home Alone the most earning comedy. But like with a movie like Ghostbusters, like you would say, get them all back in the studio now or yesterday, better.
Yeah, but it took the cartoon to do it because they had no plans on doing the sequel. You know, and then when Sony saw the success of the cartoon, they're like, man, we need to do a sequel because everybody's loving Ghostbusters. Yeah. And that's why Ghostbusters 2, while it's good, it didn't measure up to the first movie because they wasn't 100% and they wasn't 100% enthusiastic on doing it. And that's why it almost felt like the same thing. Like they had to rework their way back up in terms of, you know, the city suing them and they hit rock bottom and then they had to work their way back up. It felt like there was no continuation, you know, as them growing as a business.
Kurt Fuller's character, Hademeyer, basically was the same character as Peck in the first one.
And he's pretty much the same character in most of the movies I've seen him in.
He's always there. He's always playing the same character.
But, you know, I felt that was a step back for me. As much as I enjoy Ghostbusters 2, it was a step back, not furthering their business and their character growth. It just felt like it retread a lot of the stuff that they did in the first movie, just more tamed down. Like they took away them smoking. You know, they outside of Egon, all of them smoke. But then they just said, oh, we got to market more towards kids and no smoking, so we got to tame it down.
It feels odd watching it nowadays, you know, when Ray's just putting on the cigarettes. It really is, you know, yeah, it's really like out of place when you watch it today. But actually, I also very much appreciate it. Even though I never smoked a cigarette in my life, I'm like, I hate it when movies tame things down.
They sure did tame the second one down.
Yeah. What do you think of Extreme Ghostbusters that first aired 1997?
Okay, so I remember before Extreme Ghostbusters premiered, they were playing Real Ghostbusters on Sundays. All right, and I was watching that. So when I looked at the TV guy and I saw Ghostbusters coming on weekdays, I was like, oh, so they must have moved Real Ghostbusters over to weekday morning. So I was like, shit, I get to watch Real Ghostbusters before I go to school. That first episode didn't air because of something I forgot that happened during that time, so it was news. Then the next day when I tuned in, I see different animation. I see Egon, but I don't see Ray, Peter, or Winston, and I see these kids being Ghostbusters. I'm like, what is this? This ain't real Ghostbusters. And then I see the titles Extreme Ghostbusters. And during this time, you had Extreme Dinosaurs, you had Extreme G.I. Joe or G.I. Joe Extreme. There was a lot of extreme cartoons in the mid 90s. So
radical, extreme or radical.
So I was like, but I watched it, and you hear Egon's voice is Maurice LaMarche. So I'm like, okay, this is like a follow-up to the real Ghostbusters a couple years later. I enjoyed Extreme Ghostbusters. To be honest, I mean, I felt like it almost kind of returned to the roots of the earlier real Ghostbusters seasons in terms of it being dark and serious. And it took a while for the characters to grow on me, but it did. I did eventually enjoy it. I'm not gonna say that I enjoy more real Ghostbusters. Always gonna be my heart and soul, but Extreme Ghostbusters, for what we got of it, it was pretty fun. And it was great to see. It was great to see another Ghostbuster cartoon. Sadly, that was the last Ghostbuster cartoon. We have not had a Ghostbuster animated series since Extreme Ghostbusters.
Which is crazy since there's so many turtles. I have to admit that when Extreme Ghostbusters came out, I absolutely didn't like the animation style, and I didn't give it a fair chance, which is something regret now, because now looking now on the premise is awesome because it's basically like Batman Beyond, and Batman Beyond being my favorite Batman, one could actually say it's like that Extreme Ghostbusters, the concept would very much geared towards somebody like me. So I really want to rewatch it. But while the real Ghostbusters, I think at least it was on Netflix when I watched it last year, or is like broadly available. I haven't seen Extreme Ghostbusters here.
Well, I'll say that some of the episodes are on YouTube, and the Ghostbusters YouTube page, every Saturday they premiere a real Ghostbuster episode, and I think Sunday they premiere an Extreme Ghostbuster episode. So they've been like putting episodes up like once a week. Yeah. They got like 16 or 17 episodes of Extreme Ghostbusters, so you can definitely check them out there.
Yeah, nice. Because I hear from a lot of people that Extreme Ghostbusters was underrated when it came out.
It was. It took me a while to really get invested in it, but I was gonna watch it because it's Ghostbusters and I want to support anything Ghostbusters. And the only thing I didn't like was like Garrett being the handicap chasing around ghosts. And I'm like, man, that being in the wheelchair, that's got to be something else. But it grew on me. I enjoyed it, and I was really excited when they brought the originals back. When Peter, Ray, and Winston came back at the season finale for the two-parter, that was such a blast to watch, man. And I probably got all those episodes on tape since they never released the official DVD.
I wonder if they will achieve like the same sense of fan service and bringing back nostalgia with the Ghostbusters Afterlife, with Aykroyd, with Hudson, and with Murray.
I mean, I will hope so, because one thing I always said about Ghostbusters is that after the second movie, it kind of felt like the whole franchise just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Turtles got revitalized with the 2003 series, and ever since then they never looked back. Nickelodeon brought them, and they had, like you said, they had so many series out, whereas Ghostbusters I felt like has been ignored for a long time. We've been wanting the Ghostbusters 3 forever, and it took the video game for us to get at least the original cast back for at least a video game. And storyline was the third Ghostbusters movie.
Yes, it absolutely is the third movie, and I can't recommend it high enough to play it. I think the graphics and everything still holds up.
Yeah, and the stage levels, the stage designs were really good. I loved going through the Sedgwick Hotel and the library. Those were some awesome stages. And it just felt like, man, if only we gotten like a movie version of this, But for what we got in this video game, it was amazing.
Yes, absolutely agree.
And I just love the video game. The multiplayer was awesome. I remember when I used to play the multiplayer just to build my rankings to get Ghostbuster of the Year status. And I loved it.
I have never played the multiplayer. I have no friends.
I ain't give a damn if I ain't have friends. I was like, just hook up with me and let's just have a blast. And there were some people in there that was terrible. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You messing us up. And then you play with a crew that was amazing. I always try and make sure I knew the people that I want to play with, so I could play multiplayer, man. Another thing I want to bring up, before the IDW series, there was the first Ghostbuster comic since the Now series.
Yeah.
Was the 88 miles per hour Ghostbusters. This was released around 2003, 2004. And this was like the first Ghostbusters comic since the real Ghostbusters, the Now run ended. So
I remember the UK one. I think that over 100 issues in England.
Yeah, that one, that'll probably be a run I start up because I got a couple of issues of that. But this run started in the 2000s, and I remember being excited because it was like the first Ghostbuster comic in a while, and maybe it might revitalize, the Ghostbusters, we get a new cartoon series or something like that. But this series, while it's good, it got delayed so many times. Like the first issue came out in 2003. The last issue 4, came out in 2005. And it's only a 4-issue series. So imagine the wait from... At least they came out. And then after the 4th issue, a couple of years later, they went bankrupt. So we never got no more Ghostbusters from them. That's when IDW picked up the franchise. But I always wanted some more Ghostbusters in terms of comics, media, and stuff like that. And this was during the down period of the Ghostbusters, where there was really not much coming out from the franchise. And I really wish that we could have gotten more in the 2000s when Turtles was coming back big. We could have at least gotten another animated series, but we never did.
I think Thinking Critical had a very interesting episode a while ago when they talked about Ghostbusters and the comics, that also basically with the IDW run, there's fantastic. It was really fantastic until they tried to include the movie that we shall not talk about.
Look, I'll say this about the movie. If we're talking the Answer the Call movie that came out with Melissa McCarthy and them.
I've never watched it. I've seen the trailer. It was that's not for me.
I'll say this. It was on TV at the job, right? And I gave the movie a chance. We talked about how the original Ghostbusters holds up because of the smart, intelligent adult humor.
Yeah.
When I watched the Answer the Call one, that was way too much force over the top comedy.
Yeah, that's totally what the vibe the trailer gave, and I absolutely disliked the humor in the trailer.
Yeah, the humor was not too funny. All the guys were jerks, stupid, and like they faked the fucking Ghost logo, and the best way to defeat the Ghost logo was to shoot it in the balls. I'm like, the fuck is that shit? Yeah, see, the face you made right there is exactly how I looked when I saw that scene. I'm like, really? So yeah, the male Ghost logo, you shoot them in the balls. I'm like, what kind of shit is that?
And the thing is, I like when it was announced, I couldn't give a rat's ass if the cast for women or whatever, because it doesn't matter which gender they cast. It only thing matters is the chemistry of the cast and the writing. And they had some talented actresses in there, but when I watched the trailer, it didn't seem that they had any sort of chemistry, and the humor was not right. At least the humor was not for me. So, and I'm like a guy. When I want to watch a movie anyway, I don't watch a trailer because I don't want to get spoiled. But when I'm on the verge of watching a movie, I'm gonna watch a trailer, and if the trailer is not convincing me, then I'm not watching the movie in cinema. I'm gonna wait until it's like on a streaming service or out on Blu-ray. And when everybody that I hold dear in my life tells me, "Do not watch this movie," then I will not watch this movie because I'm almost 38 years old, and even if I live to 100 and plus, time is finite, and there's no time for movies that don't make me feel good.
I agree. And like I said, I wanted to give it a fair chance. I knew the movie was going to be not what I wanted, but I still wanted to watch it to give it a fair opinion. And my opinion was it's not for me.
Yeah.
It's like he said, I'm a glutton for punishment. I watch it anyway. And that's what I did.
You watched the Snyder Cut 3 or 4 times, didn't you? Hey, Mastodon.
What's up, Mastodon? I just want to be critical of the movie because I'm a diehard Ghostbusters fan. But the one thing I said on this show many times, I'm not going to hate on nobody that likes it.
Exactly. Everybody that likes this movie has their reasons to like it. It's another thing is, was it financially responsible to make these choices as a studio? No. But I'm a person, I love many flops, and I'm happy that the studios did the movies that flopped that I love. So for everybody who loves the Answer the Call movie, be happy that it exists. And nobody forces me to watch the movie, so I can ignore it. I can enjoy the old movies that I like, but I don't have to watch the new ones. So I refuse to hate on movies. Of course, like I'm disliking. There's movies that I dislike, but I will never say somebody is somebody is like a bad human because they like a movie.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go out there and bash it and say, "Oh, you ruined my childhood." And I'm like, no remake or reboot can ruin the childhood. Your childhood was already established. Yeah. So
somebody with the age of Simply Incredible podcast, like you're very dedicated to watch the Snyder Cut so many times. Because it's like, it's always taking a year of your life. It's so long.
Yeah, that movie's too long to watch again.
I liked it. It was way better than the cinematic cut, but I will never rewatch it. It's just too long.
Way too long. If I do watch it again, I'm starting from like the second half onward. Ricky Louie.
Yeah. And that's always like what we are preaching here on the channel is it's okay to hate movies. It's just a waste of your lifetime to spend time on hating them while you could love movies that you love.
Exactly. And that's why we're not going to talk about a movie that we both hate just to rip on it. It's a waste of our time.
Yeah, I rather rewatch a movie that I love for the 100th time than hate watch something just to get a few clicks.
I posted this a couple days ago for the Ghostbusters 2 anniversary. I forgot I had this print. This print.
That would be a great tattoo on your back.
I don't know about that, man, but I gotta get a frame for this print. I also want to show this, of course, I got this. Everybody knows the masterpiece that California Blend did.
Oh, nice. Well, I can tell you that when she drew it, you already know that it was sold.
Oh yeah. I actually didn't buy this. It was a commission piece that I asked her to do, and it took her a year to do. And because I bought so many paintings from her, she decided to give that to me for free. So
Gabby's a great gal.
She's a great person, man. I also want to show this Ghostbusters, the ultimate visual history.
Oh, nice.
Definitely get this book if you ever see it. It is a
Didn't they also
phenomenal.
release this year with a Flashy Slimer cover? I think I've seen something for pre-order or something in a comic shop of mine.
Probably did. I think I know what you're talking about, but this is an amazing book. Even the interior first page is pretty dope. You know, and it has like interior shots from the movie. You know, it definitely goes into details on the behind the scenes of the movie. What's this classic?
And also, you know, Harold Ramis as Egon. Also, kudos to him. With such a funny cast, you really have to like. It must have been really hard work since he's not like laughing in any shot, and he also wanted to play Egon that he never laughs.
That's what he said. He said, "I played through the whole movie and I didn't crack a smile once." That's dedication, because I love that about Egon, that he doesn't smile because he takes his job seriously in terms of science and stuff like that, studying and.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the crew in October, but I know you with I think with Anthony Sicker, who's also a fantastic artist. I think you're like on his stream when you're talking Grow, the Grow.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I'll show this.
Oh yeah, the hand out of the fridge. There was also, you know, in the second movie, I also really liked the slime in the bathtub. And the bathtub was
yeah, that was pretty dope. But this scene had the most sexual window of all. You know, when Peter went to visit Dana.
I do. And they can also say, basically, you can also form the quote: if somebody asks you if you're the gatekeeper or the keymaster, it's like, if a hot chick asks me if I'm the keymaster, fuck yeah, the keymaster.
You know what I'm gonna use my key for?
It's like one size fits all.
Oh man. But definitely, if you ever see this book, get it, man. It is awesome. So many great photos, so many great things to read. Awesome book, man. Also, I gotta show off the Tobin Spirit Guide. I've been posting some images on my Ghostbusters comics page. Goes through all the ghosts and all the movies, the cartoons. That Spider Witch was terrifying in the game because
I absolutely loved this. Yeah. Wasn't she also in one of the episodes in the containment unit?
Oh yeah, the librarian. Now you talk about sick design here.
Oh yeah, that's a great release.
Oh man, then you had sort of some animated clothing, animal spirits, all these different type of ghosts, gets explanations and all. It's a really fun read. I'm trying to get to a page. Oh, look at that, the toilet.
I love the toy.
Oh, the Sandman.
Oh, the Sandman is such a great episode. Yeah, Dream Your Dream, Sandman.
And it's a Winston episode where he has to be the one to save the day.
Yes.
Oh man, the artwork and the collectors from the comics.
I have no idea how many canisters of slime.
And there's your boy. There's your boy.
Oh yeah, the boogeyman.
Boogeyman. Boogie's gonna get you.
Yeah, like I said, I was terrified as a kid.
You know that character? That's from the Halloween, the third Halloween episode, Boogaloo.
I have to rewatch it one.
It's from the later seasons, but that was the third Halloween episode.
I think I only rewatched like the good seasons last year.
It's Grundle. He was pretty cool in that episode.
Yeah, and that's also a thing, with those talented writers, they took like so much from mythology. Of course, Grendel from Beowulf.
Kilowatt. Another great one. There were so many great animated villains. Like I even like the Mrs. Rogers' Neighborhood. That was another fantastic episode, man.
Yeah.
Especially when they go into WAP mode. Like, what? Who said what? I ain't say what. Well, who did? Say what? Say what?
Now with this episode, it's I really liked it because it was also the danger was always there and you just didn't see it.
The Terror Dogs. I say the Terror Dogs is one of the greatest designs. I love the Terror Dogs. Vince Clotho and Zool.
There is no Dana, only Zool.
This is an awesome book, man. Like I said, you know me being a Ghostbuster fan, I had to buy it. Evo Sandor.
Yeah. I would love to have all this stuff. It's just I don't have any space for another franchise.
Here's another one, Hob and the Garrett. From the episode with Peter's dad. Another great design.
But I wouldn't shy down to buy like a good omnibus or a trade paperback, like a collection, like in a. And even if you basically read every Ghostbuster comic, which would you recommend, like to start with? Or are there any storylines like they're on their own you would recommend to somebody who hasn't gotten into Ghostbusters comics?
I will always recommend the start of Eric Burnham's run, which is like Man in the Mirror, that first trade paperback where you see the Beatles cover homage, with the Ghostbusters walking. I always will recommend that, and if you can find the hardcover, this is the first Ghostbuster hardcover that starts Burnham run, Total Containment. This is what I would recommend.
Is this also because I looked at my comic shop and there was like one comic that immediately totally popped, and because Vigor was on the cover, which is absolutely love the title of the story, Mass Hysteria, because it was from the speech, cats and dogs.
Oh, I just posted that. I had just posted that. If you check my Ghostbuster account, I posted the Vigo cover. Let me bring it up. It's pretty badass, Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Vigo, man. He came back in the last issue, at the end of the last issue, that this issue kind of get dealt with. But it was awesome seeing Vigo in there.
It's because it's interesting, because it's also like one thing about the second movie, like you also mentioned before, it's you could see that the character of Vigo, who was based on Rasputin and Vlad Dracul, that he had so much more potential.
Here's another great character. This is the sister of Goza, all the gods and stuff. Remember the episode where that godlike character battled his the one with the 3 heads? The dragon with the 3 heads? This is her.
Nice. Great cover.
Yeah, awesome. I will definitely recommend people to the Eric Burnham run, just to start off with that. And just go on from there, because he had a long run with Ghostbusters, and he even did I know you would like this. In my other box.
Yeah, I will look at
here it is.
Paperbacks collected, and otherwise I will. Yeah, I have to read the Transformers Ghostbusters one, especially since you told me also that Starscream is like a ghost, like he was in the ghost form, like in the cartoon in there. So, and I absolutely love after the Transformers movie when Starscream was a ghost and floating through the space.
Starscream has some great interactions with Venkman. It's hilarious. I didn't think they would work, when they first announced it, but I read it and it was pretty fun. It's Starscream as a ghost.
Nice. I think the Ghostbusters Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
That was another great one.
Very good. I heard about that. Yeah. I mean, I always like the sad thing is I always have a very sad story with the Ghostbusters TMNT. because 2 days before Edwin died, the comic jabroni, he had a video where he was hunting down issue number 1 of the first crossover, and I wrote him that the comic shop still had the Eastman cover, like the rare one. So I got that one for him, and sadly I was never able to give it to him, that cover. So, and this was my last interaction with Edwin. So always when I see the crossover for Ghostbusters in TNT, I always have to think of this. On the one hand, very sad experience, but on the other hand, I was lucky to have like a quality talk about, turtles, Transformers, and all the cool stuff before he passed away.
Yeah, that's still devastating thinking about it.
Yeah. So I sent like since I was able to get it for cover price. So I sent it to Who Dad to thank you, Who Dad, again. He auctioned it off, and the money he got for it, he sent to Edwin's wife.
Much props, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, yeah, like it was a really like devastating moment for the community, and I can't believe it's almost 1 year. Yeah.
That's why when I missed out on meeting him when he came to Florida, I was upset. I really wanted to meet Jabroni because of his personality, his awesome charisma and stuff, and he's just such a fun guy to hang with. His streams with Rod and Jeff, though, were all awesome. So that was a missed opportunity for me, and that's why I've been making it a priority. Like anybody that makes a trip to Florida, I want to meet them, man. Yeah. I want to get a chance to meet them because you never know, man. You might not ever get that chance.
Exactly. Life is short, and we really have to make the most of it.
Yeah,
it's like what we say, like talk about the stuff you love, and also like Edwin always say, like every day be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, it was a huge loss.
True that, Ryan.
Well, hopefully, though, I piqued your interest in getting some Ghostbuster comics. I know.
Most definitely. It's with Ghostbusters, I always love Ghostbusters. But like I say, collecting like Conan, Red Sonja, Transformers, and John Carter of Mars, it's it's like even having like a tough time like getting all the aliens and Predator stuff. Thankfully to Marvel, I don't have to buy the new alien stuff because it's nobody needs that. But there's so much around, and Ghostbusters, something I've been interested in since I was a child. I always loved scary stories. I also grew up. We had a lot of German, horror comics, Gespenstergeschichten, which fantastic. Yeah, Asterix and Obelix. Asterix and Obelix. I grew up with that. Fantastic French comics, and they were also very big here in the German part of Europe. And like Asterix and Cleopatra it's one of my favorite movies. I don't know how big this franchise is in America, but in Europe, Asterix and Obelix it's phenomenal. And it's when you read all the comic albums, you get all the stereotypes of whole Europe, which is so funny. I absolutely laugh every time they're showing like the Germans, like of course based in the Teutonic guys. It's you always see them marching like in the goose steps. It really it's a beautiful parody also of European history, which of course makes it quite anachronistic, since it also takes things in account that happens after Imperial Rome. But
you bring up an interesting point about European history, because I want to see Ghostbusters in Europe more. Like Ghostbusters in Paris was an amazing episode. With them in the Eiffel Tower and all that stuff. And I would love to see the Ghostbusters do more. Hunting ghosts in Europe and all the other countries, because Ghostbusters shouldn't be just exclusive to America. It's ghosts everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like with the history of Europe, like we don't only have a lot of ghosts, we also have a lot of skeletons in the closet.
Like one of my favorite episodes was No One Comes to Lupusville, and it dealt with the vampires and the werewolves. That combination of that element, and the Ghostbusters couldn't do nothing because that was way out of their element. It's supernatural, but they're not ghosts, so they can't really bust them.
Yeah.
So the whole
going to creative, with creative solutions to
and what they did was smart as hell. Put the werewolves versus the vampires, have them fight, and we get the hell out of there while they fighting. So I think that there's a lot more to explore when it comes to Ghostbusters, and that's why I felt if you do movies or if you do cartoons, the mythology and the lore can continue on. You don't have to just say, just to be stuck in America. You can do many stories of Ghostbusters outside of just America, and the cartoon touched on that. They visit Transylvania. Yeah, so Ghostbusters could be done a lot more in this era, and you won't have to reboot it constantly. You don't have to, have new characters. Just go with the core characters and introduce new characters. Like the comic books introduced it, female characters, like Melina Griffin, and they brought in Callie from the Extreme Ghostbusters. Phenomenal characters. I love those characters in the comic books. That's how you bring in.
As long as characters are fleshed out and sympathetic, yes, please.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do is build them up, develop them, make us care about them, and then they become Ghostbusters. And like, hey, she's a Ghostbuster. We all knew Callie from Extreme Ghostbusters, so when I saw her in the comics, I was excited because they bringing the Extreme Ghostbuster character into the comics.
She was hot.
Yeah, then that goth chick was.
Hello, Dominic, and I have a very complicated history with Ecto 1 because that toy was nowhere to be found here in Austria when I was a kid. I wanted to have Ecto 1, but it was not out there. The same like the firehouse, the headquarters. Like
so let's talk toys then, because that's another aspect. Toys. Matter of fact, I picked this up.
I had the same ones. Yeah,
I had
the granny I loved with the hair.
Yes, the granny. I had that one too. I had Winston. I had like 2 Winstons, 3 Egons.
That one with you could pull and it run.
Yeah. The only thing I never had as a child was that damn proton pack. I wanted the proton pack. My mom wouldn't give it to me, man. And I was so disappointed. I hate when my mother goes to the store. You got the toys with the section of the proton pack, but she wants to look at clothes. I don't want to look at clothes. I want to look at the proton packs. I want to look at the toys. And this was when Ghostbusters was dominating with the toys, the Kinder toys.
So yeah, that was always like the proton pack was also a childhood dream of mine. I've never seen one at any of the toy stores, but the cool thing was that we all got the advertisements from the German TV station, and yet none of the, like, of course we got like the core figures, like I had the core Ghostbusters, I had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like all the ghosts. One of my favorite was the one with the slime, where you had the lever on the back where it made the slime bubble. That was a fantastic one. I absolutely loved it.
There were some great ones.
Yeah. But the Ecto 1 and the headquarter, I don't know if it was like too expensive, like to distribute that in small Austrian stores. But you always saw it on TV, and it's like, I would probably never own
The closest I got to, I ain't have the firehouse headquarters. The closest I got to something similar to that. Remember the Police Academy cartoon?
Oh yeah.
I had that.
We didn't have the toys.
I had the Police Academy station, which looked like the firehouse. So I actually had the Police Academy figures with the Ghostbusters in there as well.
Yeah. I had Castle Grayskull because He-Man was so huge there, and this is why you call He-Man. You gonna call He-Man?
He-Man.
Because the Ghostbusters are fraud. Yeah, and there was always I always wanted the Technodrome, and also I have never seen.
Oh yes, another one. I never got the Technodrome. I had the Turtle figures. I had Shredder and Krang, but I could never get that Technodrome.
I never found Shredder. Shredder was I got all the turtles. I got even Slash and everyone, but Shredder was nowhere to be found. I had to wait for the Kevin Nash Super Shredder. That was my first Shredder figure.
Gary V asked if there's a Ghost crossover, Police Academy Ghost. I just made the crossover. I took the Police Academy figure, the Firehouse set, and put Ghostbusters in there since I didn't have the Ghostbusters Firehouse. Later, man, last one.
Yeah. Yeah, because He-Man was so hot back in it. I really like that they acknowledged that one.
Yeah, that was a nice little crossover in the beginning of Ghostbusters 2, that He-Man thing. But man, there was so many.
The little boy is the son of Ivan Reitman, who's gonna direct a new Ghostbusters movie.
I hope he do have a He-Man reference in there just to play off of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was so many toys. I had the Ghost Trap. I had the Ghost Trap.
Sadly, it was also
I had the Ghost Trap, and I had to throw the ghost in the trap whenever I open it, bust the ghost and stuff. And I had the dark gun.
We built our ghost traps with shoebox.
Hey, back then we were creative, man. We would use anything we had around us to try and make it. I would use the vacuum cleaner as my proton pack.
Oh, yeah.
I put the vacuum on.
Until you discovered you can do other things with it. But it was no ectoplasm.
Oh man, but we used to be creative, man. If we ain't had something, man, we gotta make something up.
Exactly, yeah. It's give me a branch of a tree and then make you any sort of gun out of it.
I don't need a lightsaber. Now you got lightsabers all over the place. Back then, I used to just grab a stick and act like I was Luke Skywalker or something like that, or Darth Vader. But all those toys, man, and
two flashlights until you used also other flashlights.
All those toys that in the advertisements on cartoons, man, those were the heaven. Those were glory days of cartoons. From watching cartoons and all the ads.
I realized being there a kid, and then suddenly you heard the gong of MB and then Hero Crest, and then it's as a kid, I'm into bodybuilding now.
Hey, you saw the milk commercial. You drink milk and you become a muscular man. So
yeah, it's exactly. Was
spinach
with Popeyes.
Yeah, these were the good old days, man. Ghostbusters toys had some great stuff.
I think it was 2 months ago when Kenny Comic Head 84 had a live stream, and he was eating cheese, and then he seriously asked, cheese is healthy, isn't it? And I wrote him this is the most American question I've ever heard. It's healthy, and when you melt it, it becomes even healthier.
Reaching over to grab these.
Yeah.
Some of the Diamond Selects.
The Slimer figure was I also had the Slimer figure, but it was way too big.
Shit, that Funko Pop that Steve AOK'd me was huge. That Stay Puft. Here's our guy.
Oh yeah.
Winston Zedmore.
Oh my god! Didn't you? Wasn't it like when he canceled the con because he wanted to get the figure signed? Or
No, it wasn't him.
okay,
It wasn't him. But I did. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and tell that story. I did meet Ernie Hudson once. Me and my father and brother. This was in New York, and we was going to like this little exhibit, that showed like space stuff in the ceiling. And we standing in line, and we see like a group of people coming. And the closer he got, I noticed that it was Ernie Hudson. And I kind of froze a bit. I'm like, that's Ernie Hudson, And when he walked by, I reached out my hand, like to shake it and to see what happened. And he shook my hand. I was like, man, I'm never washing this hand again. This is the hand that touched Ernie Hudson. Shook hands with Ernie Hudson. Later on, like before we went inside, my father went and got like a signature from him. And then after the whole thing ended, we got a picture with him. Now, I sadly cannot find the picture. It was a video picture, and I think it got accidentally taped over. So that was devastating. But at the same time, I remember that experience of meeting Ernie Hudson.
As long as it exists in your memory, it's real.
Yeah, and he was with his family at this event, and he was very welcoming. He didn't mind people that approached him and signed stuff. And at the time, when I think back, I was like, man, that man was with his family, just there to enjoy the show. But he was still welcoming and still welcoming fans. And this was during the time when he was doing Oz.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of people was asking him about the new season of Oz because this was during the summer. So they was like, the next season of Oz coming out, and he said, yeah, I'm definitely going to be in the next season of Oz and stuff. But I was more excited to Ghostbusters and everything that I've seen him in. I even want to say they did you dirty in Leviathan, man. They did you dirty in Leviathan. But that was a moment I'll never forget. Like you said, the memories, just the fact that one time I got to meet Ernie Hudson, and I really hope that by luck or by chance I get to meet him again, because he occasionally do the spooky cons. And I missed out on when he was at Spooky Empire in Orlando a few years back. And I would have definitely went to meet him again. So hopefully that opportunity arises and I get the chance to meet him. I highly doubt he remember me, but I don't care. I just want to meet him as an adult, get a photo and share it with you all. Because Ernie Hudson truly is the Ghostbuster. Because he's the only one that shows up at the cons representing Ghostbusters. And that especially considering the fact that he was kind of like the fourth wheel and didn't get the attention that the others got. He ride the franchise out, and that's why everybody loved him so much. Not so much as he's a phenomenal actor and stuff, but because he continued to support the franchise by showing up at cons and greeting fans. You don't see that from Bill.
I do have to say that Aykroyd is living Ghostbusters.
He is living Ghostbusters.
But he's living in he's in his own timeline now. So
But Ernie Hudson is the man, and I'm glad, that he's doing well. I mean, the man's in his 70s, and yet he still looks phenomenal.
Sometimes I have no idea why studios have no clue how beloved Ernie Hudson is. Like around the globe.
He's phenomenal, man.
He's phenomenal. He's like, when I was young and I watched Ghostbusters and also of course, Little Leviathan or Oz, it was always Ernie Hudson is in it. It's like, this is the guy. He's great in everything.
Yeah, I was even happy when I found when that guy did the clip with the Incredible Hulk. Him and that, because I remember that as a kid. Like, I saw Ernie Hudson in the Incredible Hulk.
Or the Chuck Norris movie when I'm watching it, and immediately Ernie Hudson, young Ernie Hudson, I immediately sent you the screenshot.
Ernie Hudson is awesome, man.
Exactly, yeah. And I can't wait, of course, when we talk to Grow in October, because that's also another Ernie Hudson appreciation stream.
Yeah. Anything that got Ernie Hudson, you gotta give love and appreciation to Ernie Hudson because he's a phenomenal actor that's kind of underutilized, but whenever he's in movies, he tends to be a really great actor in that movie.
Yes, he's like I say, there's these few actors in Hollywood, like the late Bill Paxton, and of course, like also Ernie Hudson. If they're in a movie, it doesn't matter how good the movie is; they make it a bit better, or much better. But they always make a movie better. Yeah, like in German, we have like the saying, they're like das Tüpfelchen auf dem I, like they're like the dot on the I on the letter. Like they're just like they're the perfect ornatos for any movie.
Yeah, we definitely gotta do a appreciation stream for Bill Paxton.
Oh yeah,
he's another one. He's another phenomenal actor that passed away too soon.
Way too soon, and also so unnecessary.
Yeah, here's a variant of Ghostbusters crossing over.
Yeah, this is one you should get signed.
That's why if ever I get a chance to meet him again, I'm getting this signed by him. Most definitely.
That's the question. Like we already said before, that that the casting was lightning in a bottle. Ghostbusters is so good because it has the perfect cast, especially the core Ghostbusters: Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and of course Ernie Hudson. They contemplate themselves just perfectly, and if you just remove one of the puzzles, the whole thing would fall apart. So there's no way to say how the movie would have performed with Eddie Murphy, or if the Ghostbusters would have been the same. I'm pretty sure it would be still an entertaining movie because Eddie Murphy is a fantastic comedian, but could he have been the down to earth part that Ernie Hudson made Vincent Sedmore? Yeah. Or would it be like a character that would have made like the whole ensemble a little bit too hilarious, and therefore also having an unbalanced part of the comedy and horror? Who's to say? The only thing we can say for sure is that the 4 Ghostbusters that were cast, for whatever reasons, was one of these moments in movie history where the perfect cast was at the perfect time, in the perfect place, to the perfect movie.
I agree 100%. No, Eddie Murphy is the case of a what if. That's like a what if story now. What if Eddie Murphy was in Ghostbusters?
That would be one of these interesting, like, I want to check out an alternative timeline. I always say, I would like to check out the alternative timeline where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Flash Gordon. Because that would be crazy. Thank you.
Yeah, it will be great to see these alternative, movies, where they originally wanted this person cast and he didn't do it. And like, well, what if Eddie was in Ghostbusters? Because if Eddie was in Ghostbusters, he would have been introduced a lot earlier in the movie. Because it's Eddie Murphy.
And Beverly Hills Cop would probably have never happened.
Yeah. I always say he should have just said, not fuck Best Defense. That movie was trash. Because both of those, that and Beverly Hills Cop came out the same year. It would have been better if he was in Ghostbusters and Beverly Hills Cop. That would have been better. The multiverse of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's another thing that Eric Burnham established in the Ghostbusters comic books. The multiverse of the Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters Prime, which is the OG Ghostbusters. The real Ghostbusters. You've seen the real Ghostbusters crossing over with the actual movie Ghostbusters.
I've
then
seen
the whole
subscription cover where the movie Ghostbusters and the real Ghostbusters were like the split screen.
In fact, this is a phenomenal cover I gotta share. I got my box. I got to put it in here. But this cover is what the movie cover should have been with all four of them.
Oh, nice.
I love this cover, man, and it's awesome, and the crossover is amazing, and they've done a lot establishing the Ghostbusters universe. Definitely check out, if you ever read the comic books, Eric Burnham just does this seamlessly.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is why I love comics, because of course, like ideas like this very rarely, at least in the past, got adapted into TV or cinema. And the great strength of comics always was to show that what would be too expensive in movies, what would be too risky in movies, and it's a real pity that a lot of comic book creators think for small screen and not for the limits of your own imagination, because comics are the cheapest way that you can adapt your imagination. You don't need special effects. The only thing you need is a great artist.
Is one where you got Extreme Ghostbusters, Real Ghostbusters, Answer the Call Ghostbusters, and Prime Ghostbusters all on there. And that's what this series does best. You know, it just plays with the idea of a Ghostbusters multiverse. Since everybody loves multiverses, it plays with the idea. It strikes while it's hot, and it just brings all these characters together from all these different Ghostbuster universes. And like you said, comics, you can explore that. You know, you can't do that in movies and TV shows to a certain extent, but in comic books, you can explore that and tell your stories about it. And that's why I have that Stan Lee Ghostbuster variant free key. Comic books is amazing.
That's why it's the perfect medium, because, like I said, that it's only limited to imagination.
Yep.
I only wish that more modern creators had a lot more imagination.
We all wish that.
Yeah.
Hey, you remember that episode, the Citizen Ghost episode?
Yeah, Citizen Ghost, where this was such an awesome idea. How to explain the changes in the real Ghostbusters.
I just loved the evil spirit Ghostbusters, man, and that's why this cover was phenomenal when they did that interpretation. You know, like I said, I'm getting all choked up when just talking about this, man, because this is why we just love having these conversations about comics, movies, games, and all that stuff, because it does bring us joy. You know, when we're talking about it.
You have like a continuity, like in Ghostbusters, where you have in a lot the comics, like I said, like by Burnham, of course, the cartoon and the movies, people behind it, and all it takes is one person that cares for continuity, and you have awesomeness in the making.
Yes, and that's why, you know, we have all these collectibles. You know, all these DVD releases of the real Ghostbusters. Awesome stuff here.
Yeah.
It's just, I love it, man. I mean, they say, you know, we're supposed to be adults now. We shouldn't be hanging on to our childhood. And I'm like, man, screw you, man. And that's why nerd culture is as popular as it is now than it was in the 80s. Back in the 80s, we had to watch Revenge of the Nerds to hope nerds get our revenge, you know, and now nerds rule the world.
Yeah. Like, as far as being an adult is, I'm paying my bills, and and the rest is like, fuck the shit.
It's like you living out the childhood that you didn't truly have as an adult. Because as a kid, you couldn't afford all this.
Yes, and even like, I mean, I have to say, I can't be thankful enough, like, for my parents, what they have bought me. But of course, he was also like the limitless. It's like it wasn't able. We're not able to get everything here, like in Europe. of course, there were like some things that were only in Europe, but other things it was like, especially like the big play sets were at least here, like in Upper Austria, like almost impossible to get. So, or always some characters. Where it's like, oh, why they never made a figure of that character? Like I showed before, like Impactor, like one of the records. I absolutely love the records in the UK run of the Transformers, especially when it turned into a zombie. And now I'm having him as a figure.
Exactly.
And I'm looking at this. It's just a chunk of plastic, but it makes me happy.
And I showed this off air. I didn't show this live, so I even got.
Oh yeah.
And I have the proton pack.
Looks like you have a problem, Sean.
I know. Those class 10 full floating apparitions in the area. But yeah, man, I got the proton pack. It's in the box somewhere. But hey, I it's my money, and I get to get what I wanted as a kid. So I'm happy, and I just enjoy doing and enjoy life. That's all I got to say is enjoy life, get the things you love, and be happy.
And I think that's perfect to end the stream. Was so much fun talking about everything Ghostbusters. I really think like we can make another one when the Afterlife movie comes out. Because even though I was not sold by the trailer, I didn't felt that the trailer was looking down on Ghostbusters fans. The only my problem with it was that it had like too many Stranger Things vibe.
Yes, that was another thing. It gave off that Stranger Things vibe.
It always it's like
I want to see like Ghostbusters without the Stranger Things.
Exactly.
I felt like the trailer was like an extended Stranger Things trailer.
Because it felt like a giant trying copying like a dwarf in comparison.
And I'm like,
it's like you Ghostbusters. Like you don't have to copy shit. Like you are an original idea from the greatest movie period in history. Like believe in yourself, be yourself, and you will be successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking forward to it, man. I mean, it's Jason Reitman. I mean, we can't get no worse than 2016 Ghostbusters. So I'm gonna give it a chance, like I gave that movie a chance.
Yeah, I really the thing from the trailer, what I liked, it really feels like it's handling the death of Ramis with respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like for me very important. So I really hope that the movie delivers. You said you had some other ideas for movies to talk about in the near future.
We missed. Now I know the weekend before was the anniversary of Predator, and I had watched that movie again. I love that movie so much.
Tremendous movie in the world.
I mean, I ain't got time to bleed when Predator is on. Straight like that. And I know we talked about the Aliens franchise, but if we can talk just Predators, the first two Predator movies, I'm fine. I'm down with that.
Yeah, who am to like to not talk about Predator? It's like Predator is it's hard to it's like it's fulfillment. It's everything that a man needs to know like he can get from Predator.
Exactly.
It's a movie that it would fail every drug test because it has too much testosterone.
Way too much. Way too much. And just the amount of manliness in that movie. I mean, the moment the moment Carl Weathers and Schwarzenegger, it's like I'm a man. I went from a child to being a man just watching that scene.
Yeah, like,
so yeah, next week.
Like I said, like I grew up with these movies. I thought the moment you turn adult, you're getting these muscles because every adult has muscles like this.
So yeah, I'll definitely talk Predator next week.
Perfect.
And now the week after that, I'm not sure if I'll be doing the stream. I'm still figuring out because that Friday, that week, who that will be in Florida. So I'm trying to figure out a way to go down to West Palm Beach and hang out with who that Friday.
And next Friday before Predator, maybe I hope I'm not too drunk because I'm getting my vaccine.
Yeah, man. The second shot really made me fatigued from last weekend to do a show.
I'm getting the first, so that should be fine, hopefully.
Yeah, the first one you should be fine. But I will be doing the live stream tomorrow.
I don't have time to bleed.
Don't have time to bleed. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow, so make sure y'all swing by 2 p.m. Eastern time, chatting with the comic community. Hopefully, I can get some people to join. And if there's a Comic Call show tomorrow night, I'll probably be on there as well.
Awesome. So great things this weekend. Finally chatting with the community back, which is always one of the most awesome shows. You never know how long it goes. Will it go 2 hours, 3 hours, the whole weekend? It's always a mystery. Great. So thanks everybody in the chat. This was a nice 2-hour talk about Ghostbusters, one of the most awesome franchises in history. And I'm so happy that I did it with the one, the only Stay Puft 1983, Sean, because he knows Ghostbusters better than 99% of the world population.
It was great talking with you about this, man. Yeah. When I knew when June came, we had to talk Ghostbusters. So
exactly. So the only thing what you can say now is have a savage weekend, and busting makes me feel good, eh?
Yep. And if you see something strange in your neighborhood, you know who to call.
He-Man.
He-Man. Later, everybody.
Bye, everybody.